Welcome to the Spiritually Embodied Leader Podcast. I'm Cynthia Gutierrez, the creator of Embodied Freedom, and I love to help conscious, heart-centered, spirit-led entrepreneurs learn how to regulate their nervous system and move through an embodied transformation so they can start and grow their online business with confidence, authenticity, and aliveness for more meaningful income and a deeper impact. On this podcast, we're going to be talking about how embodiment, mindset, subconscious mind, cyclical living, returning to nature, ritual, and ceremony can all play a powerful role in revolutionizing you and your business from the inside out. Now let's get into it. Welcome to the Spiritually Embodied Leader Podcast. I am so excited for this second part of the Kambo Body Bliss series. So the last episode, which was part one, I went on a super deep dive storytelling about my personal experience in the Kambo Body Bliss Initiation, which is a 10-day sacred space holder training and warrior activation for detoxifying the body, strengthening the mind, and aligning your path with your highest potential. And so in this part two episode, I invited Aluna Lua, who is the creator of the Kambo Body Bliss Initiation, to come on and chat more about her journey, how KBB was created, and learn more about the sacred medicines and a bunch of other magical things. So I am super stoked. And by the way, just so you know, at the very end, we're going to be sharing a couple of special gifts that Lua is sharing with my podcast listeners. So keep in mind that one of them is available for a limited time. So make sure to stick around for those details. And thank you so much, Lua, for those special gifts. I'm so excited. So in case you do not know who Aluna Lua is, she is the co-founder of the psychedelic media company Ascension Arts and the head coach of the Plant Spirit School. She works as a ceremony facilitator, performing artist, and integration coach. Lua is from Brazil, and she has been an ally for indigenous communities for over a decade, and she specializes in the medicine of Hapé, Kambo, and Cannabis, and is based in Los Angeles, California. She provides psychedelic peer support at Burning Man through the Zendo Project and offers trainings, retreats, and mentorship for sacred space holders. As a passionate entrepreneur, brand designer, and creative director, Lua also supports artists and healers to launch their sacred offerings and develop their artistic gifts and become creative professionals for the Renaissance. And I do share more about the first time that I met Lua in the last episode. So if you're interested in hearing more of that story, you're welcome to check out part one after this in case you haven't heard it yet. So for now, we're going to bring her on. Thank you so, so much. Welcome, Lua. I'm so, so happy that you're here.
Yay! Thank you, Cynthia. Hello, everyone. I am so honored to be your first guest speaker in this beautiful podcast, Cynthia. That's so amazing. I'm so happy and so excited to be here. I love part one so much, and it is an honor to be able to come here and to deepen this prayer for those that are really aligning with this magical transformation. And I'm so proud of you for everything that you are and for making this happen. Thank you for this epic podcast here.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's such an honor to have you on as my first guest expert. And it's so beautiful because as I first created this podcast, and even the title of Spiritually Embodied Leader has stuck with me for long before that. And to see how different crucial elements have been coming together to create what this podcast and the medicine and the messages that are meant to be broadcasted here, like, I'm not surprised that you are one of the first people to come on here and to share more about what you're doing here on this earth to create, honestly, what feels like heaven on earth. Like, I had never really felt that until I came to the Angel Palace. And yes, like I've, encountered God and the divine in all sorts of different places on this earth. But to come together in deep medicine and healing and ceremony and to celebrate life, like it just brought it to a whole different level that I did not see coming. So thank you so much.
Yes, all glory to God. Thank you, God. Thank you, angels. We were just 11:11 just 2 days ago, so I'm feeling the angel activation and the blessings that they're sharing with us, and including this conversation here. It's a deep activation that heaven and earth is possible. And I've experienced and witnessed so many miracles in my life at this point that even though in my mind doesn't believe that everything is going to be okay, I have this such a deep hope and faith in my heart that God have validated enough times for me to know that he's here even though I might not believe it sometimes. And
Mm.
I love that other people get to have that faith too, and that we're here now for that, to touch people's faith and let you know that miracles are possible and it's for all of us and they happen every day. And we got to be the warriors of light, to stand for that and to have the responsibility to receive that. So I consider the Body Bliss a miracle. I consider you a miracle, Cynthia, and just your transformation and your connection to God and the guides and your spirituality and all your healing, like your vulnerability. I think that, I mean, that's for sure a miracle. And I'm never gonna forget every of the moments that we cried together and that we were part. It's just moments that are forever. That's my favorite thing about heaven on earth. It's just forever.
Yes, and just the way in which you bring the sacred onto this earth and in your home and your content and the way in which you create, yeah, more of the sacred and celebrate it. I would love if you'd like to share a prayer here for our listeners in this time that we have together.
Yes, I would love to. Thank you. So, yeah, thank you for being here, wherever you are, however you're choosing to connect with this conversation. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're cooking, or maybe you're just fully present here. I want to thank you for your presence. And I'm going to invite you to take a deep inhale, a full breath out, and just feel how your body feels and connect with the energy of choosing to be here, being chosen to be here. São Miguel à frente, São Miguel atrás, São Miguel à direita, São Miguel à esquerda, São Miguel acima, São Miguel abaixo, São Miguel, São Miguel, São Miguel. Aonde quer que eu vá, eu sou seu amor que nos protege aqui. Eu sou seu amor que nos protege aqui. Eu sou seu amor que nos protege aqui. Aqui agora em todas as dimensões. Graças, graças. Rausch, Rausch. Archangel Michael, we are your love that protects us here, here now in all dimensions of time. Thank you. Thank you, Great Spirit, for another miracle in life to be here in this conversation with Cynthia and all these amazing people that are listening to us in some moment of time in some part of the world. It is an honor to be able to open the space for our angels, for our divine ancestors, for all the celestial beings, the plant spirits, the animals, all of our galactic family that has brought us here today to receive you and to activate our hearts into a new expansion of who we are and the sacredness of this life. So I thank you and I ask, Great Spirit, that you made us pure vessels, that what we have here, what we brought here, just be for the goodness of all beings, that there's more of you than us here, and that everyone that is here receives what they need to be in this conversation and leave this call feeling more inspired, more excited, more activated, and more connected to you, to all of your glory. House, house.
Mm.
Gracias, gracias, gracias.
Yes, thank you.
So alegria, only joy. We love alegria, alegria.
Yes. So, Lua, I would really love to know like how things first were, before you started getting on this medicine path and before maybe even this joy that I've always felt since the moment I met you. Like, how were things before all of this in the way that they are now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people see me right now and they have no idea who I was before. And I would say that because I've been in my spiritual, my healing path for about 15 years now. It started when I was 19. I'm 35 now. So in my childhood, I was actually a very angry, pissed off rebel, like the black sheep of my family. My family was from São Paulo, and we were in the country of São Paulo, and the culture is very rodeo. Like, and then I had that, and then I just escaped, and I went to the psychedelic psytrance community, and I was doing that, like lying to my mom. I had to really hide myself from my parents. My mom was very mad. We were fighting my whole life. So I was just escaping to these festivals since I'm 13 and just doing drugs underground. Ecstasy, LSD, and cocaine mostly. I was just trying everything. I was being happy on the rave and then coming back to life, and had a really unhappy life, unhappy teenage times, unhappy childhood. And I grew up in a dance culture, and I was part of this ballet company since I'm a very young. So instead of going to daycare, I was going to ballet. And I grew up seeing these dancers, and it was so beautiful, and it opened up my artistry in really big ways. But it's very common to have some body dysmorphia in this culture, anorexia, bulimia, all this stuff. It was part of my reality. And I had a terrible relationship with my body. I wouldn't show my body at all, never be in bikinis. I always thought I was fat, and I didn't eat well. I had a huge resistance to food. I was only eating fast food. I was a Coca-Cola addict, eggs and bread and cheese. I was not eating any fruits, any vegetables. And I was just going by like that. I was very constipated. I used to take laxatives to go to the bathroom. So my life was kind of chaotic, but I was going through it, It's like, I'm going to liberate my life. And then with 19 years old was when I had my first spiritual awakening, and it was in a psytrance festival. And I took this LSD that I've never taken before. It was quite strong. I started to see a whole spiritual realm that I've never experienced before in psychedelics, and start seeing dark spirits and dark worlds and light worlds. It was very, very overwhelming. I felt very scared. I got lost from my friends. And this man finds me and offers, I remember hearing a voice, "Hey, would you like some support?" And I just broke down in tears. "Yes, please. Oh my God, I don't know what's going on." So he brings me to the Sacred Fire, my first time going to Sacred Fire on a festival ever, on the sacred part of life. I didn't believe in God. I was totally like, life is black and white. Suddenly I'm with this guy, and I just feel so safe in his presence, and he prays around me, and he blesses me, and I just felt really safe. And I was so afraid to be alone that I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for this person. And his energy is calming me. So he comes to me and say, "Hey, I have this medicine. It's this tobacco snuff. I'm going to blow it in your nose. Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Sure, let's do drugs. Let's do something in my nose." He blows the medicine on me. Immediately, everything stopped. All the chaos, all the infinite visions I was having, all the thoughts, everything, silence. And I remember hearing a voice in my head, "Your life will never be the same." And this man talked to me through all of my questions about what is God, what is sacred, who are you, how do you live a spiritual life, what the hell that even means. He literally talked through the whole spiritual awakening channel through that entire night, told me everything about plant medicines, everything about prayer, rituals, spirits of light, healing, magic. He just told me the whole thing. I'm like, okay. From there, I went to my first church, Santo Daime Church. It's a lineage in Brazil that they work with ayahuasca, indigenous ayahuasca. Now they make their own brew, but it was a mix of the Amazonian culture with a Christian-like foundation that was created from this man that had channeled that connection between Christ consciousness, Christianity, and Amazonian medicines. So I started going to this church because it was the closest to me, it was the most access to me. And this church changed my life. I started sitting with ayahuasca. My voice came through. I started singing. I started believing in God. I met these Rasta hippies, these rainbow Rasta man's reggae musicians that invited me to be part of their band, just to be a backing vocal. And back then I had a job. I was a graphic designer. I was working in Sao Paulo in a production company. I thought that was my life. My path is to be a designer and a animator. And these people just completely changed my life. And I got to experience multiple indigenous tribes. We got to travel around the country, travel around South America, going to rainbow gatherings, playing music, going to indigenous tribes. My house in Sao Paulo ended up becoming a hub for indigenous communities. Back in that time, there was a protest going on with indigenous people and the government to protect the river Xingu. So Sao Paulo was very full of these protests. It was really crazy what was going on there. And I lived in this little tiny home in some center of Sao Paulo that became a hub for indigenous people that were coming to these protests and creating it was a whole thing going on, like a whole fight in the streets, that my house kind of became a place that they could arrive, that they could sleep for a night, that they could bridge to a place to the other. So I got to make a lot of friends, indigenous friends from a few tribes. For what can I say, my head now, Funio, Karirishoko, Kayapo, Kuntanawa, Hunikuin, Yawanawa. I got to travel to see the Koji people in Colombia. These people truly changed my life in a personal level, like made me believe that life is beautiful, that it's not just evil. I think that's what I believed before. So it was just a service. These people served me, and I did all the medicines I could. I had my open heart. I just want to heal myself as much as I can. And I did. And I have a great relationship with my mom right now. My family's proud of me, even though they have no clue what the hell I do. They are very proud of me. They think I'm a miracle. And I think I'm a miracle too. So when I moved to the US, I was 23 years old, and it was a huge calling, always been a calling, and I needed to do that for myself. And I had to let go of all that life to follow this calling that I've always had, was to come to America and be a Disney princess. So arriving here with 23 years old, what really saved my life here, what really brought purpose of why I'm here, was because I started meeting the medicine people here. So as I'm like going to my immigrant life and just being a waitress, working, 16 hours a day, and these medicines, these ceremonies that people start to connect me with, God just like started to connect you with the right people at the right time. And suddenly I became a Brazilian medicine woman that could be in support of the indigenous people that come here to need translation, need a place to sleep, need a connection to do their mission. I didn't even know that some of them are traveling the world, bringing their prayers and the healing of the medicines to the world. So that brought so much purpose in my life. And then I started to see my path not only as a person that was receiving so much healing, but as a person that was contributing for the prayer of the Amazon, and that it's a bridge between that culture that in Brazil I had the privilege to have access to, even though in very rough and poor moments, no money, completely broke, and also be able to be a bridge for those out in the world that are now discovering the healing power of medicines, of psychedelics, that want to get connected to that culture, and mainly want to understand how to apply that to their lives. So I honor my path because I've been through so much to apply what spirituality, medicines, and God made with my life, that now is a mission. It's my responsibility to support others that feel the call to integrate a healing, spiritual, heaven on earth style life in their lives, and whatever that means to them. and to be able to be in reciprocity with indigenous people because they need us. I didn't even know how much I was needed. It was like, yeah, Lua, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Hey, can you do the mailing part of this project? A lot of things that are not even able to be fully shared because there's a lot that happens behind the scenes for these medicines to be held in the way that they want to hold. And a lot of people in the world are not understanding the power and the responsibility that it takes to do this healing. So, yeah, I'm very grateful that I get to connect to create a medicine community here in my little bubble and get to be a connector point for the ancestral and the sacred medicines to be doing good work in the world because they can do harm, they can do good if they're not in the hands of the right people. So that's how it all came to life. This responsibility came to me, and my life is completely different now. I had no freaking clue that this is what I was going to be doing in my life. And I'm so grateful for the miracle that I've received and the miracles that I see all around me.
Yes, one of the main words that has always come front and center, even when I first met you, and which I first got connected through you by your students. And from then, and even in like the content that I saw, and then coming into your home and everything, integrity has always been such a huge, important, like core pillar of how I've been experiencing you and the work and the journeys and all of that. And I love that because especially bringing in the whole trauma awareness piece and being informative and letting people be aware of what is entailed with these medicines and also how to create as best as we can a safer space for people to heal and process and go deep within themselves. And that have always so appreciated that within you
Mm.
and the way in which that has been carried through you from your lineages and the people that have helped you. And yeah, I absolutely love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this saying that the more you know, the more responsibility you have.
Mm.
And that's when you see what integrity really is. It's like, how much do you know what you need to be doing? And how much work have you done, right? The more you know, the more responsibility you have. The more I sit with indigenous people every single time, even in this just past January, I sat with the Yawanawa people in Brazil. That was truly the message that I got. Like, wow. And then you know something. You know what these people are doing. And then what you know what these people are doing, like the beauty and the healing power and the community and the way they relate to life. And then like how can you hide it? How can you be different? How can you not be different after knowing
Mm.
something like that? So I'm so glad that
Mm.
you feel safe in my space. And I think that harm reduction is very important because, yeah, I had a lot of traumatizing experiences with medicines in my life, in sacred spaces, in traditional spaces, in like there's all kinds of lineages in Brazil, not only indigenous, but other churches. And I had quite traumatizing experiences in the way that not even intentional, not something that someone harmed me, which harm, like intentional harm also happens a lot in these places, but just unintentional harm that I could tell stories about this forever. For now to really understand that, hey, there's a lot we can learn. And the indigenous people, also want to learn from us about ways that we found to protect people, to address different needs that people have, to adapt our space and set in settings in a way that it's more inclusive to different experiences and different levels. So I love that. I love that's my passion, is to like unify both, unify ethics, harm reduction, integration, therapy, coaching, all these privileged tools that we have now with ancestral wisdom and holistic ways to see life. Even the body bliss, if you really see, that's why it had to be its own thing. Because even though Kambo completely changed my life, it was that broke through my whole digestion system. After my first Kambo ceremony, I started to eat vegetables. And that blew my mind. I needed that so
Hallelujah.
much. Like, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. That was like this. It unblocked something on me that I had my whole life. It changed my metabolism, my digestion system. And yeah, and over time, I studied not only with indigenous people, but also in meditation retreats and initiations, vipassana, fasting, Buddhism, and other spiritual practices that also influenced my life in big ways. So my diet, the way I approach, and the privilege that we have where we live now, the circumstances or the context of our relationship with food in the city are very different than the context of indigenous people that live in the forest. So even my way to approach a dieta is very adaptable to the lifestyle that I live and that my community lives. And it's different than my teachers, and they're still teach me everything. It's a unification of both worlds. So the Body Bliss was really that understanding. Like, I've been through so much about this whole diet and food thing. That's literally the biggest breakthrough of my healing journey, was my relationship with food and my relationship with my body. And Kambo, fasting, cleansing, detoxes, plant-based foods, learning these things and studying these things are the foundation of my well-being. It changed how I think. It changed how I feel. It changed how I relate to people. It changed how I relate to life. And the Body Bliss is the unification of all that I believe that I wish I had when I was 19. If I had done a Body Bliss right away, right on that first Kambo session, oh my God, I can't even imagine who I will be right now. So I love that unification of both.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, did KBB, because there's like the Kambo retreat and as well as the Body Bliss cleanse that comes together. And it's not just Kambo, there's also other sacred medicines that is weaved in too. But was it the Body Bliss cleanse that came first and then the Kambo, or was it all at the same time, or first the Kambo? Like, how did KBB really start to be created?
So first, I've been a Kambo practitioner for 11 years now. And it was the medicine that I started hold earlier. Because of that, I've done so many freaking times. I wanted to do it as many times as I could, that it became a medicine that I started supporting and facilitating over time. So I was already serving medicine, and that wasn't something like a career or anything that now these days people say that it is in the psychedelic renaissance. I started mostly from a need. I had a friend with a parasite, and he had this parasite for months. And I told him about the medicine, and he healed in one session. However, over time, serving this medicine from my heart, from people that are really needing support, that I was meeting in my path and wanting to work on their health, recover for some medication or something, I started to do my groups. But I noticed that a lot of people come to Kambo in their emergency states, like, oh my God, I don't know, I'm doing math for this amount of time, like, this needs to heal me now, let's do it now. And they think that's all that it is. So I started to have a lot of weirdos coming to me for this medicine. And I realized that first, it doesn't work like that. It can completely unlock you, but it's the way that you integrate that. And if you come with that expectation, it's because you're not ready to do your own work. The medicine it's only meant to activate us, to remember who we are, but it's how we show up for our healing on a daily life, on a daily basis, is what really brings change, is that changing how you relate to your body, to your health, to your organs, to your levels of energy, to food. People think you need a food for energy. I don't think you need food for energy. I think you need to fast for energy. Excuse me, I'm recovering from a cold, so I'm coughing a little bit. So I was already doing that and was feeling overwhelmed. And then I started my business in 2020, the pandemic. I moved from Oakland to the Bay Area to LA. And I made that decision, like, I don't want to work underground anymore. Like, I want to make a business. I invested on a business coach. And she helped us to create our first offering, our first online offering. And the first online offering I created was the Body Bliss Cleanse.
Mm.
And it was an online program that I guided people through the 10-day cleanse. And I added in this cleanse all the cleanses and ways that I've learned from all the cleanses that I've done through my healing journey on a 10-day, right? What would the best of the best that I will put here? And that will include menu, ingredients, all the things that I've learned through my path in food and nutrition. I became plant-based 13 years ago because these Rasta people were all vegans. And I'm like, oh, fuck these vegans. And they were just praying for the food. And it was just so beautiful. And their energy was so pure that I started to believe that the food has something to do with it, you know? Anyways, I put everything that I've learned in this program, and I led this program online a few times. So it was kind of both happening at the same time. I was serving Kambo here and there, and then I was leading my Body Bliss program. And then one day I'm like, you know what? This is the perfect integration for Kambo. Because if people are not willing to integrate, and then they're going to be coming back and they're not taking the best out of this medicine. They're taking it for granted. They're not getting the results that they want. They get upset that they're not healed or whatever health issues that they come through. And I just started to try it both together as an option. As I did this, I realized that the people that are called to this whole thing, like, let's cleanse you fully. Let's not just cleanse you a little bit. Let's actually reset your entire physical vessel. And then you tell me how you want to eat. And then you tell me how you feel. And then you tell me if you need that medication. But first, give your body a chance to fully heal itself through nothingness, through clearing everything we can. And then I realized that the people that are willing to go as deep, or is because they are in a very serious health issues and they tried everything and they're willing to go for it, which is great. We help a lot of people there. We help a lot of people that are ready to try to work on their health issues from the inside out. And I can't even tell you the phenomenal miracles that I receive from people that come to this prayer with that intention. But and then he also brought up the space holders, people like you, Cynthia, that is used to hold space for other people, that have a child, that is here to really be a facilitator of healing in however forms and modalities that people felt called to. And they have a space to come and reset themselves and align themselves. And I really start seeing that, oh, it's a safe space for guardians of light, for spiritual warriors, people that are out in the world doing big work in the world, showing up to impact the world, standing for the best of the world. So this is a place that we can come together and heal, healers with healers, leaders with leaders, that we can come from a place of a beginner again towards the sacred medicines, because there's so much to learn. And we all learned in different places. So getting a place together that we can study and practice, like you shared a lot on part 1, I really noticed, like, wow, this is everything I needed in the past. Literally everything I needed. So it kind of just happened organically. Since the first one, we created this whole, okay, what is this warrior spirit initiation about? So many people want to do, Lua, I want to do ayahuasca. Lua, I want to do bufo. I want to do ketamine. I want to do mushrooms. And people are coming to psychedelics with this wants. And it's like, you can have your preferences, but you need to understand that every lineage has the dieta aspect of the work with medicines, of your healing journey. We shed just like nature sheds in the spring and in the fall. And that's why we do it in the spring and in the fall, because we naturally shed energy. We naturally die every year. And the dieta is a very important aspect of your spiritual hygiene. If you work on the spiritual realm, and if you choose to incorporate plant medicines in your healing journey, The dieta is crucial because, and then once you do a cleanse like that, which we created our own modern dieta from all this path and all this journey, and then you get to other medicines and other work that you're called to, you are a clear vessel. And a lot of the shit that you've literally been holding on gets to be worked on right there. Most questions people ask me when I'm in calls about psychedelic integration is how to take care of people, having challenging experiences. Oh, you're going to teach someone like that on ayahuasca? No, bro. When you get to the ayahuasca already, you need to know already. So you have to train that. And that's why I think Kambo is the best medicine to teach my students. We ended up creating a whole nother thing. Like we dance, we party, we celebrate, we support one another. It completely happened like naturally. I had the vision and then we created, and it just gets better every time. So I really realized like, okay, this is not just a health reset. This is an initiation of sacred medicines, of warrior medicines, the ones that are needed to build your character and your humility towards this path. And it's an activation, because once we do that, look, the magic that happened. Look at you, Cynthia. Look at you, Cynthia, shining bright with a whole new relationship with food, a whole new relationship with the sacred medicines. And then what we get to create from that space is my favorite energy in the world. It's how humble and clean and blissful we get. And I learned that a lot with indigenous people, the joy that I always say that here. The lot of tribes are like that. The Yawanawa are very like that. The Hunikuing, it's just a lot of joy, a lot of goodness. It's always the positive scene of everything. That's definitely something I bring to my containers. Is definitely what the Brazilian traditions have. The music is joyful. There's a lot of dancing. There's a lot of collaborative healing spaces. In Brazil, if you go to like a bridge place like that, there's one that I went called Aldeia Caixa, which is a mix of the guardians of the space and the indigenous people that gather in the space for ceremonies. It's just like that. Everybody is helping. Everybody is a garden because they're cultivating the community. It's not just a one-time thing. And we shouldn't cleanse just once. We shouldn't eat healthy just once. We shouldn't train and receive training just once. We shouldn't study just once. It's a lifestyle. And that's what the Body Bliss is really becoming. It's a lifestyle. It's a place that you, Cynthia, you're going to come back to the next one already a completely different person and gets to reset again to a new place of your life. I would love to hear from you, Cynthia. I want to hear your wins, the things that really changed in your life, the impact that really had in your life and in your daughter.
I noticed that when I came back and started reintegrating into my everyday life, and I told my daughter, hey, I'm going to be eating differently. And, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. And if you want to try some of the food that I'm making, I didn't really like pressure her at all. I gave her the option if she wanted to be gluten-free or dairy-free. And I didn't even mention like, oh, if you want to do this, I was just explaining to her like what I am doing, and that, I'm taking out gluten, I'm taking out grain, I'm taking out legumes, all this stuff. I'm like, you don't have to, because I know she loves beans. And like the whole wheat bread that I get her, I do want it to be sprouted, this and that. Try to get the best of what I can. Yet when I was just sharing that with her, she was immediately like, okay, yeah, I want to try it too. I want to try it. I'm like, really? And it was just so like seamless. And I feel like just the aliveness and the excitement, and especially that what you were mentioning, that just the liveliness that I can sense from you and through the cultures of your background and all of that, like the word open to possibility just felt so like at grasp, it just, the possibility just really expanded. And I'm like, wow, like I don't feel so attached to my hunger. Actually, I don't really need food to survive. And being able to detach from various limitations that I was just like felt so heavy by, and just like constantly asking the universe, like, how do I break free from this? How do I let go of that? And coming out of KBB, especially when we came home through the rest of the 6-day cleanse, doing the coffee enemas and the flushing out the liver, releasing hundreds of gallstones and all this stuff, and like coming out of it being like, wow, like when I did the colon flush the first time, so many different dense emotions came up and through. And I was just really angry. Like I hadn't seen myself go through mood swings like that in a while. And being angry and memories coming up and all this stuff. And I even felt like I was about to purge. I didn't drink water immediately after the enema. And I bet if I did, I probably would have been purging. It was just interesting because even with Kambo, it was the first time on the last day of the retreat where I was purging from both ends. And even when I came home doing the enema the first time, I was like, wow, if I would have drank a lot of water, I probably would have been purging from both ends again. And yeah, it's so interesting to really get a felt, visceral experience of the activation, the embrace that I felt from like really bringing my spirituality and like all of this like ethereal insights and ideas and everything, and being like, okay, how do I do this? And then like cleaning my body, clearing out my vessel, and noticing the direct link between the two, where once I purified myself, it was like immediately that channel from the ethereal and my spiritual higher self coming through with these divine messages and everything, feeling like, oh, it's all right here, and cleaning out the muck, the yuck, the pain, the grief, all of it, just being able to clear it so that it makes more space for the joy and the aliveness and the possibilities. Like, wow,
Hmm.
it's been miraculous. And sometimes, especially now that coming back, it's like getting into the holiday season. I'm starting to go to family events again, noticing how they're eating and they're offering me food. And I'm like, no. Sometimes I eat it. And afterwards, I really feel the effect of like what those corn chips, are doing. And I'm like, oh God. But being able to then go back into the Body Bliss online portal and having, thank God, Royal Taj, thank you for providing the Body Bliss meals to be able to sustain the diet for much longer term, even after the cleanse, right? And the retreat. Like it makes it so much more accessible for me to continue the medicine path and to continue to clear myself. Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, I could go on and on.
What
I
was the real
just,
breakthrough for you, like in terms of, because yeah, I'm sure people are thinking as they hear, we get so many questions about plant-based food and why not this, why they don't eat this, why they don't eat that, and it's not really about that. For me, the diet that we created was truly me experiencing everything, and I was just curious to what happens if I stop gluten?
mm,
How do I feel? What happens if I stop dairy? How do I feel? And things just started to just feel a lot better. And like you said, divine connections, miracles, divine interventions. I met so many angels. That's how I met all the angels that came through for me was in body bliss cleanses. It's like when I'm clear and fasting, people think it's all about the food, but it's actually about the spirituality. And then the relationship with food naturally changes and wants to be different, especially when you start understanding what the food industry wants from us
mhm.
for real. So I'd love to hear from you, Cynthia, because you mentioned that that was a big breakthrough for you. You've tried to eat this way before, and then the body bliss was really like a solid foundation for you to embrace a plant-based diet. What do you feel like you really shift?
What did I really shift incorporating the plant-based diet?
Like what happened in the retreat that really made that decision?
I feel like it really all came together for me when I was home by the 10th day of the entire cleanse. Because even at the retreat, yes, we were like, starting to fast. And yeah, we had a smoothie after the Kambo, but the way that Kambo was working on my digestive system and everything, and then coming home to continue to cleanse and sustain that clean diet, I finally saw what my belly looked like completely unbloated and what it felt like and the way I was eating foods, like to actually notice a drastic difference because I had that old diet for as long as I can remember. I mean, that's how I was raised, right? With a whole lot of gluten and this and that and meat. And the thing is, I had tried being vegan and vegetarian for many years, but just things just were off, you know? It was like, but then I'm still feeling like super lethargic and blah, blah, blah. So I tried many different things, but like nothing ever really clicked until we did the full blown cleanse together. And that's when I was like, oh, like this is what it actually is like and how everything finally starts to, it's like all the gears finally start to link up together. And yeah, I feel like being bloatless for the first time, as far as I can remember, that was massive, massive.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. And just noticing how that affected my thoughts, my emotions, how I react to things, how I then choose to respond to things. Like, yeah.
Yes. And yeah, it's a lifestyle. It requires a lot of education. That's when Taj came to the game. I already hosted the Body Bliss Cleanse probably twice before I met Taj. And then on the third one, it was when Taj and I got together. And Taj is a raw vegan chef. And he became a chef because he had a lot of bloating and a lot of allergies. He just grew up with a lot of symptoms that just when he started to cleanse and he started to eat plant-based, he felt big difference in all these symptoms that he had in his skin and his blowing. So he's very sensitive physically to food. So he ended up becoming a raw vegan chef because he's the one that has to make his own food because he has reaction of everything else. And so when we met, I'm like, wow, you make these incredible recipes. And I was already making my food. I was already teaching people how to make food and all that. But with him was a whole nother game, a whole next level of knowledge in food. And I think that's a big part of the process. People don't want to be plant-based because they think that they're just going to take out the animal products and just going to eat the same thing. And then they're going to get the nutrition with the same shit that they were eating. But it requires you to have a bigger scope of knowledge in how to prepare veggies in a way that tastes delicious, that fulfills you, that gives you energy, that gives you all the protein and all the calcium, all the stuff that people want to know. Oh, but what about this? It's like, just do a little bit of research of the amount of people that are plant-based for a long, long time. And you really see the benefits of everything in this life. You just have to do it right. You have to commit yourself to learn and to adapt that to your life. And yes, there's the whole social dilemma of having to have, you know, your friends or family don't eat the same thing and we feel uncomfortable. But that's just a phase. It's just a phase. It passes. What's more important is how you feel or it's what other people think. And it's not about being perfect either. It's about respecting your own body and your own journey and and dedicating yourself for that. So once Royal Taj came to the game, and then it's like, okay, let's actually revolutionize your kitchen and get you some supplies and teach you some ways that you can cook things without using bad oil or bad ingredients that we're not even aware that just a few changes, your diet can be a lot better and your health can be a lot better. And I think just when we really purge, you see what comes out of you, you know, and you do the colonics and you feel different after all that came out of you. And you see those liver stones and you're just like, okay, that's definitely toxins and waste that I want to cultivate a clear vessel. And then when you cultivate that as a lifestyle, and then it's just heaven on earth all day. It's bliss. It's body bliss.
with part one, I did talk a lot about my experience with the sacred medicines, but I didn't get into like what they are, like where they came from, what they are, and how they're integrated within the KBB.
Share a little bit
Yeah.
about the medicines.
Yeah.
So the medicines that I chose to work with in this initiation, it started with Kambo, Hapé, and Sananga. And these are three medicines, Amazonian medicines, that I call the warrior medicines. They're not psychedelic, but they're psychoactive. And the experience with them, it's tough. It challenges that divine masculine, courageous, humble courage part of us. It's not a medicine that you wake up like, I want to do Kambo. You have to like, okay, I'm doing this for a reason. There's a bigger purpose here. So these medicines together really train our warrior spirit. Kambo is an Amazonian frog, this little green frog that lives in the Amazon that some indigenous tribes work with, like the Yawanawa, the Matses, the Hunikuin. And they received that knowledge, that vision that this frog had healing to the tribe. And there's many stories of how Kambo, how this even came to life. But basically they call in this frog, and it's for some tribes like the Yawanawa, it's like a pet. It just hangs out around them. It's like this super cute relationship with the frog. The frog loves them, just walks around them. And they do these little burns in your skin, and they apply the medicine straight from the frog to your body. The Yawanawa, they drink a drink called kaisuma, which is a sacred drink that they make. It's a fermented cassava, yucca flower, yucca drink. That they drink that instead of water. And they drink the kaisuma, they receive the kambo, and then they purge. The purge, the sacred purge for them is not only physical, cleansing your internal organs, but also spiritual. They say it's taking this panema, this spiritual negativity density that we accumulate just being in life. So it cleanses the panema, and that supports people to have more luck, more ease in their minds, and also in life, the way things happen to us. So it clears their system. They work with before ayahuasca ceremonies as well. It's a relationship that you build with the medicine, and they serve kids too. So it boosts your immune system, your health. It regulates your hormones. It brings so much healing to your health, and it really helps to release addictions and behaviors, negative behaviors, things coping that you're just coping with too many things. It kind of clears that out. So Kambo is that frog medicine. In indigenous communities, they say to work with the Kambo 3 times within a moon cycle. That will be the initiation of it. First, because when you purge, especially if it's your first time, you might not purge much. Your body's still afraid. It's a new experience. It's a relationship you build with the medicine that you kind of open the channel of allowing the purge to happen. A lot of people come to me, Lou, I hate purging. I can't purge. I haven't purged haven't vomited in 20 years. And it's so much healing through that breakthrough of allowing yourself to vomit like any other medicine. My cat vomits every day. So having that natural humanness relationship. So doing the medicine 3 times, you complete a cycle of cleanse. That's why the Kambo, we do it 3 times to honor that completion. I'd love to hear from you, Cynthia. Did you feel a completion with the 3? Did you feel like a completion? Healing never ends. Healing is cyclical. It's not about like, oh my God, I'm healed. It's like certain things will actually heal you like this. Other things will come back in our lives. Healing is cyclical, but it does close a chapter of where you are in your journey. Have you felt that way, Cynthia?
Yeah, and I've even experienced before, I had Kambo once before the retreat, but also even with ayahuasca and other medicines too. When I am aware that, okay, I'm going to this experience that's 3 days, or I'm going to do this for 1 day, I feel like there's this like intelligence that is communicated between what the medicine is and myself, whatever I know I am agreeing to and doing. So, I've had ayahuasca for even just one day or one night, and that felt like its own complete experience. And then I've, sitting with Kambo for that whole weekend, like that, there was definitely like a beginning, a middle, and an end, where I was like, wow, like that really came full circle. But yeah, I feel like once you decide, okay, I'm going to do this and sit with this medicine, and you become aware of what that like agreement is, of how long, all of that, that there's just this beautiful unfolding that happens between the person and the medicine that has that complete experience.
Yes. And then another medicine that we bring is Hapé or Rapé or Rapé, however you want to call it. In Brazil, we say Hapé. And it's a tobacco powder. In indigenous community, tobacco is one of the most sacred plants. And it's a master healer. And a lot of people, in the society, we use tobacco in very harmful way. People smoke cigarettes. So it's a huge misconception of what tobacco really is and how healing the medicine really is if you use it correctly from the right source and in the right ways. And Hapé is one of the ways. And a lot of tribes in Brazil work with Hapé. And it's this powder that they make, this tobacco powder that they blow it in your nose. You can do it on your own, or you can do it someone applying on you, like Cynthia was sharing on the part 1. And this medicine is to ground us to the earth. It helps to clear the thoughts, help you to come back to your heart, and to have a focused mind is to heal that masculine aspect of life, of action. Hey, this is the right thing to do. This is what I have to do. And allow that chit-chatting or confusion. It helps to focus us with the path of light. And Hapé is not used properly these days because it became very popular. You can just buy it online and do it on your own and buy an applicator and start applying on other people. But if you really understand what the medicine is for, it's very, very powerful. And it can really bring cleansing and protection to the space in any ceremony, any spiritual experience. Tobacco can be a smudging tool. It can support a cleanse. So Hapé and Kambo, they work together in many ways. Not necessarily, you don't have to do them together every time, but they support one another when it's really needed. And that's why in the Body Bliss, we not only work with Hapé, but we also study Hapé so that you know how to work with the medicine. It's a tool. It's a very powerful tool that you get to build a relationship with and get to support others in some sort of healing experiences that they might having, not only in Kambo, but in any moment of life, and be a good vessel for that work, to support the work to be done. And because people don't use it consciously, they don't know much about it, they're causing unconscious harm. So many people have bad experiences with Hapé. So it's a part of the warrior training. How was that for you, Cynthia, the whole training? How's your relationship with the medicine now?
Oh, I love to say that it's ongoing, and it's definitely much different than when I was first introduced to it. And like I shared in part 1, I was actually being called to help people. Like I just found myself administering, even with a little curipe, I was using, because that's all I had. And so I had to use that. But yeah, at the retreat, I realized, what, this is a tool I'm going to be bringing into my business, because sometimes life happens, or motherhood stress or whatever, or self-conscious thoughts, like things at times will steer me so off center. And Hapé has really helped me to just cut the BS, focus, and also drop into what it is that I am meant to do next. Not just take any action, that I think is good or needs to happen, but Hapecito is just very clear. And yeah, I really, really appreciate that.
And then Sananga, which is the eye drop that Cynthia was sharing on part 1, that we did our breath work, we did our affirmations. Sananga is a tree in the Amazon, and indigenous people use the shell or the root of that tree to create this eye drop. And the medicinal aspects of this tree really supports the healing of the physical eye. And indigenous people used to heal the physical eye And what it also does, it has a type of ibogaine in Sananga. So it does helps decalcifying the pineal gland, the third eye, so your capacity to see between the veils. You're remembering your dreams, to see more visuals when you are in psychedelic medicines, to see more colors, to activate the clairvoyance, the channel of the eyes. And that's a cleansing medicine. It cleanses the eye. So it's also a warrior medicine because it's hard, it burns. And that's why we use it lightly in the Kambo Body Bliss, because it's another medicine that you build a relationship with. And some people that wear glasses and contacts, they really feel the difference, and you want to cultivate and work with Sananga often. Other people just feel called to just work with it maybe before a big ceremony, or whenever you feel you want to cleanse your eyes or study your dreams. But it's all these medicines, it's really up to you. How do you want to build your relationship with them? They are flowers to support you, and flowers that God gave us, that is, or stars that are always shining. It's that leap of faith that never fails. And then the last medicine that came through in the Body Bliss is cannabis. I've started working with cannabis for real just here in America, because in Brazil, it's hell of illegal. And the access that we have is just not good quality. You buy weed in the same place you buy crack or something. So the access I had there, I didn't have good experience. I didn't like cannabis. However, in Santo Daime tradition, in some churches, they have cannabis, their own cannabis. And they work with cannabis in together with ayahuasca. That's when I found the sacredness of cannabis, was with Santo Daime. And when they bring that medicine into the ceremony, they're praying for the spirit of Santa Maria, his mother Mary. So the divine feminine force, that you can call it however you want in whatever traditions, but in Christianity, in Santo Daime is the Santa Maria, the Mother Mary, the female Christ conscious energy. And what she brings creativity. When you smoke weed in a Daime ceremony, the experience is to be singing the entire time, or dancing, or both at the same time. So we're here for a prayer. As we dance and as we sing with our voices, it puts a body on a flow state. That's what the cannabis does. And sometimes in the Santo Daime ceremonies, you've been on ayahuasca for quite some hours, that you're exhausted. So once the cannabis comes through, it brings you energy. And then that energy, you start putting yourself on a flow state. You're singing, you're dancing, and that turns off our chit-chatting and puts the body in action. And then the realms that we get to go, the places that the medicine can take us to receive blessings and guidance and explore different dimensions of time, it's very sacred and beautiful, because it's being held by a prayer, by songs, by movements that are holding us down. That's when I really found my sacred feminine, my artistry, my gifts. I started to love myself. I started to love expressing my voice or dancing. It really sparkled that inner child and the love of being a woman, of having a womb, of being feminine. What does that even mean? To follow God, to lead my life, but to follow God. That's really what Christ conscious, the female Christ conscious, is really, this concept is about. So I started to bring cannabis to the Kambo Body Bliss, because after you're so cleansed and you're fasting, one time after I did Kambo on myself, and I'm like, I just want to smoke weed. I think I had some pain in my stomach because I had this grape juice in one of my Body Bliss cleanses journeys, and I had this too much grape juice, and my stomach was hurting. And I'm like, I don't want to take anything. I'm just going to smoke weed. That's my only option I got now. I smoke weed, and oh my God, Cynthia, I just received a whole archangel activation. Archangel Jophiel just boom, came through. I felt this angelic frequency. I went to heaven, saw this whole psychedelic realm, and like, wow, okay. It's a lot more amplified. The clear channel that I got to experience because I just cleansed a bunch of toxins out of my body. My vessel is empty, it's pure. So now the places I get to go are a lot more pure and profound. And that's when I start incorporate cannabis in our retreats. And it's so beautiful because and then we get to play, we get to sing, and we also get to heal these deep wounds of the feminine that we don't have a safe space to do. So I know it's very out of normal. The cannabis culture is like a bro culture these days, and people are not talking about Mother Mary. And now there is like this concept, this wisdom is starting to spread a little more. But it is an honor to get to create so much. We got to do our Archangel musical. We got to do our talent show. We got to cry and share deep healing and transformation in our lives. It just brings the Kambo Body Bliss to another frequency that we're not just here doing the hard work, but we're also receiving so much guidance to who we're here to be, not do, to be. And to be that, to be able to receive God's blessings and messages for us. I don't think people give that much of the space for themselves.
If you're able to break down what each of those deities represented and why you had put them in the order the way you did, I'd love for you to explain that. Yeah.
So these are my main spirit guides and ascended masters. Archangel Michael is my boy, and I work for him. And so I say I'm his servant. And what Archangel Michael is about is to cut the cords that no longer serve us. So why I bring the spirit of Archangel Michael on day one is because everybody's there for a reason. Nobody comes for the Kambo Body Bliss just because I'm going to buy a retreat vacation. It's something that you're coming because you really want to break through. You're looking for breakthrough in your life. So you have a big reason. People come with all kinds of health issues or mental loads or emotional blockages, and they're there to work on that. So we just address that immediately, right? So day one, we're really focusing on ourselves and the parts that are really ready to let go. Day two, we bring Jesus Christ, Yeshua, however you want to call the energy of Christ consciousness, which is a leader and the divine masculine principle of God, and really activating the parts of us that we are here to lead and to heal our lives. We are leaders and healers. Everybody is a healer. Everybody is a leader. It's your own birthright. And a lot of people are so afraid to lead their lives, and they're following others and being manipulated by others because they just don't have that inner power and confidence that they got their own back, that God got your back, actually. And you got your back because God wants you to get your back. And I think Jesus is so inspiring because he touches us in that forgiveness aspect that you shared a lot in part one, is to forgive ourselves. And when we forgive ourselves of our sins, we forgive others that have hurt us. And once we do that, we liberate a path of unconditional love and compassion to all beings. And that's heaven on earth. That's where we want to be. So that bringing that frequency, and a lot of people come to Body Bliss with some sort of trauma, religious trauma, and it's okay. And that's welcome if you're open to the way that we do it, because for me, Jesus is a somatic experience. It's not a story. Like you shared, Cynthia, you felt Jesus. It's not something that told you. Nobody told you to feel. It just, you felt it. And that's what all these energies are about. Archangel Michael, Santa Maria, they can call it other names in other traditions, but they have a feeling, a somatic understanding of parts of God that we get to receive. So day three, Santa Maria is the female Christ, our creativity, our connections with our womb, with our mothers, and the healing of the women, the healing of the feminine in this life. It's normal that in the Body Bliss, there's more women than men. We always have a mix. There's always both, and I love the balance, but tends to be more women and less men, because the men that are in this prayer are already ahead of the game. They're already there to hold space for the feminine And that's why we don't get so many, because not a lot of men that are ready to truly be their healers and hold space fully, to learn how to hold space for the feminine, to heal the feminine in themselves. So that's kind of the direction that we go. So when we leave the experience, we're clean, crystal clear. We are educated. We have a framework to apply these changes in our lives in however way you would like to. And we also have that creativity, activation, sparkle in your heart that you're here to create beauty. We are all artists. We are all meant to be creating things and to bless the world with beauty. We all have that channel. So everybody that leaves here leaves with that. Whew, okay, what is it that I want to do? Oh my God, Lua, let's do a podcast episode. Let's do it. It's like, and here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so, what's the number one thing that you pray for clients to leave with after experiencing KBB?
My number one prayer is that they find the inner healer from within, is that they leave here knowing that they can heal themselves, that nobody's here to save you, that you're here to save you. And they know that miracles are real. And people live here with that feeling of, oh my God, now that I believe that miracles are real, I can hold that to someone else. I can hold that pain and difficulty that someone else is experiencing in their lives. I can be that person that's like, hey, it's gonna be okay. Like, you got this. You actually got this. I 100% believe in you because I know. And that knowing is so powerful. It changes lives. And for me to see the impact of our Body Bliss community, that now is a movement. We're just starting as a membership. So now, instead of being just something that we gather twice a year, we do gather twice a year, but we also stay in touch throughout the whole journey so that we can sustain this health and this vessel. And to see the community and the friends that are being made and the path that they become as bridge keepers, and starting to hold, let's say, Samantha just came for 2 Body Bliss. Samantha is my collaborator student. Now she's ready to hold her cacao ceremony and bring her roots, her Guatemala ancestral wisdom into her community, into her spaces that she's holding. She's a bridge keeper and she feels confident in that. Why? Because she's done all this work to heal her lineage, to liberate her soul, to release patterns that were not serving her, to love her body, to love her vessel, to cultivate her friendships. That's truly what I desire, that everybody here leaves feeling like they are a bridge of ancestral wisdom, and they feel like they have the capacity to show up in the world as leaders with the highest integrity. That's how I see about you, Cynthia. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, well, it's like I feel like I've stepped through this threshold of that, and I made a decision joining the membership, being like, okay, I'm willing to walk this path, like to continue to stay on the path and walk it. And I gotta say, like, the KBB community is so just in it for each other, and yes, for themselves, but like, wow, even before the KBB membership call begins, me and other members of that community have been meeting like every single morning without a fail. And some people come and some people go. Sometimes I participate in the Hapé prayer and sometimes I don't, or with Sananga and sometimes I don't. But we are just amazing each other with how quick the manifestations and the prayers that we share come to fruition, literally sometimes overnight. And just us realizing like, okay, this is the vision that we want in our life and we need each other so much. Yes, being able to go on a deep dive twice a year is amazing. And the support in between that is everything. Like, it really is the difference that makes all the difference. And I'm so
Yes.
grateful that it was at that last retreat that we started mentioning membership, and you just like took note of it. And thank you so much for just, going for it, because yeah, we haven't even started yet and it's already so freaking magical.
I
So
know, it's just blowing my mind. The community is blowing my mind, and how God is wanting us to step forward in this mission and this community is truly blowing my mind. I'm just obeying God at this point. And I'm so excited to just be having more cooking classes and
Mhm.
going deeper into integration and application of our health and holistic lifestyle in our path with these medicines and all these rituals and practices. It truly touches my heart that you are so in it, and you see it. You see the glow. I see the glow in your face, Cynthia, for all the effort that you're putting into your life and to the community. I see the building of really meaningful relationships. And I also want to
Mhm.
say that even you might be watching this and maybe coming to LA to experience the initiation is not possible to you, the Body Bliss Cleanse is an online program that you can flush your system. I have clients in other places in the world. They might work with another Kambo practitioner if they want to experience Kambo, and we can help you to connect with the right people. We have the network that we're building in order to be able to refer the right people for wherever you are. So you can reach out to me for support, but just know that you can do the program on your own and with a group depending where you are in the world. So we're opening the membership for those that are coming for the next retreats, but also for anyone that is not coming for the retreat but wants to cultivate a healthy lifestyle with plant-based eatings, with sacred space holding, sacred medicine learnings, and community. So that's a very foundational pillar of my life is my health. It's number one. So now God is really asking us to have its own container in which we can just nourish ourselves with all the resources possible and never feel like we're out of accountability and inspiration to be healthy and better every day.
Yeah. And as we're
Yay.
like wrapping up, I really want to share, because by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be in the last week of November. And I know there's some like time sensitive things coming up for KBB if anybody wants to join the retreat, or even some information about the membership too. Would you like to share?
Yes. So
Yeah.
if you're feeling called to connect with me and with us and see if the Body Bliss retreat, the Kambo Body Bliss retreat is for you, we offer this initiation in the spring and in the fall. So our next one is April 2025, and we always have a limited capacity of 12 people because this is here at my house in South LA. So as soon as you're listening to this message, if this is you, reach out to us as soon as possible. You can apply on our website. And if there are spots available for the next one, we can touch base to see if that's for you, or you can even save your seat for our next one if that's the case. The membership for now, it's a 6 months container. So we're renewing our membership in every retreat that we have. So you're welcome to apply in the same link just so we can make sure that this is for you and you are for us. And from them, we reach out to you in how you can enter the space in the community. I'm actually giving you guys a gift. I want to just share about the gift. I created this series called The Leap of Faith Never Fails, which is the message of the Kambo Body Bliss. And I broke it down in 4 video trainings, the main core of the Body Bliss experience. And that not just for you to learn about the retreat, but that's for you to learn the educational aspect of everything that we're talking about. So if you might having any questions on Kambo medicine, on dieting and nutrition and cleanses, on sacred space holding, trauma informed facilitation, and on bridge keeping and ancestral messaging, these 4-part trainings are going to blow your mind away in how to have a foundational guide to be a ceremony angel, to be a sacred space holder that is connected with ancestral medicines. So I want to offer that to you. It's available at no cost all the way until December 31st. So make sure to check that out. And I'm also giving an ebook from Entheonation, which is the school that I work with. And this is a Kambo ebook that breaks it down, everything you need to know about the medicine, and super valuable, super informative. And you can download that as well and access at any time. That one doesn't expire.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
I'm gonna be, yay! Yeah, I'm gonna be giving all of the links to the resources and all of that in the show notes, so make sure to check it out there. And yeah, what are the best ways to connect with you, Lua?
You can connect to me through Instagram, alunalua.angel. I have a broadcast channel on my Instagram, and the best way to connect with everything that we're doing in Ascension Arts is through our email list. So by getting the Kambo ebook, you will join, and the Leap of Faith never fails. You will be entered to our email newsletter, and you can send me an email directly, or you can receive our newsletters and the things that we have going on. And you also feel free to reach out to me. And if you want to connect through Instagram, broadcast channel, and through my email newsletter, email community, and feel free to send me a personal email or a DM message on Instagram if you would like to connect. I will absolutely love to hear if you've been part of this conversation so far until now. So grateful for you, and I'm so curious to hear from you. How was this episode and what came through for you? I would love to hear and to be able to connect with you. Thank you, Cynthia. It's such a blessing to be able to share space with you.
Yes, thank you so much, Lua. I honestly can't ever thank you enough. You have become one of the greatest blessings in my life, and I'm just so glad that I get to share you even more. So thank you.
I love you. I can't wait for our next Kambo Body Bliss and for the whole membership experience. I'm so excited to continue this journey with you. Viva Body Bliss!
Viva!
Energia!
Thank you so much for tuning in. May this podcast continue to activate the spiritually embodied leader within you. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to take a screenshot, share it on your stories, and tag me at embodiedfreedom.biz. If you'd like to express your appreciation, please rate the show and leave a review on iTunes. I'm looking forward to connecting again soon. Take care.